here, we here, it's your world. Yo, all I need is one mic, one beat, one stage, one person, front my face on the front page. Only if I have one love, one girl, and one friend, one kind of soul, and everything's ugly. A virgin blood. Will probably make me flip. See my name in the hieroglyphs like Osiris and Isis. Parables written inside papyrus and technology. We've been all tricked, time to come out of it. See, one pen, one
What y'all know about this? Give everybody a chance to get logged in, come in, kind of relax, get the vibe going. Remember, this is Let's Talk Podcast brought to you on Monday night from 7 p.m. CST time. My name is Spirit Queen. I am your teacher, and I have a host who is Goddess, and I have a co-host who is Eternal Goddess. And tonight we're going to talk about Egypt. We're not going to talk about the Egypt that you know. We're going to talk about the Egypt that's right here in the USA. Yes, remember, I've always told you guys, all this was once one land. Okay? So we're going to break it down to you. I'm not even going to tell you where Egypt is. The only way you know it is you look at the flyer. We have special guests coming on tonight. Guys, make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. Don't tell a friend, bring a friend. Forget telling them, bring them. Tonight, you will need a pen and a paper because we're going deep, like we always do. But you're going to receive some knowledge that you have not received before, okay? Um, when I say it's going to be so amazing what you're going to receive, oh my goodness. Guys, girls, queens, kings, are you ready? We need one. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let the host introduce herself and tell you a little bit about Let's Talk Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome in everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in today. This is Let's Talk Podcast Spiritual Studies. We do this each and every Monday night at 7 p.m. CST time. I am your host, Sun Goddess, and we have your teacher, Spirit Queen, and we also have your co-host, Eternal Goddess. You can follow us on all social media platforms, but most of all, I really want you guys to make sure if you're keeping up on our videos and to keep up on our videos, make sure to follow us at Food for the Soul 444 Instagram page, and then also follow our YouTube page as well, Food for the 444. All right.
And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. Don't forget to
Yes.
subscribe. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and let our co host introduce herself.
All right. Hello, everybody. Peace and love. My name is Brittany, aka Eternal Goddess, here on Food for the Soul 444 Let's Talk podcast. Tonight we'll be talking about the ancient gems of St. Louis, Egypt. So I hope everybody, get out your pencils, get out your pens, your notebook, and tune in and, tap into the knowledge, tap into the wisdom, and, learn, what we are connected to. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. So we have talked about pyramids and mounds and things like that before. So tonight we're going to uncover the sacred geometry of St. Louis. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and let the host dive into what we're going to talk about.
All right, y'all. So, what are pyramids? Pyramids are actually more than tombs. They're energy centers. Okay? So if you didn't know, these pyramids, these were where our ancestors traveled back and forth to different realms to be able to go get their people. This is how they were traveling. All right? So these pyramids actually was built on using sacred geometry to amplify spiritual frequencies, healing of the body, and then to connect with the divine realms. So a lot of this stuff, when our ancestors and different things were sick, they were able to be healed inside of these actual pyramids, these tombs, these mounds. They were like basically really they were like medical centers. Because
Yeah.
as I said, it's first they're energy centers. So these is where if someone was ill, an ancestor was ill, they will bring them back to these different mounds, and this is how they were being healed. And see, this was actually globally found. So why do we actually ignore this in North America? All right, so we're going to go all the way into the mounds of St. Louis. So over 40 mounds once stood in Cahokia, just east of St. Louis. And this is the largest pyramid site north of Mexico. So the Monk's Mound is bigger than Egypt's Step Pyramid. It's bigger than Egypt's Steps Pyramid, and it's aligned with the celestial bodies. So these Indonesia's cultures connected to Africans and spiritual traditions use these for ceremonies, divine guidance, and healing. So as I said, this was more so like their church too, in a sense of in a sense of way, because this is where they were able to get divine guidance from. This is where they traveled. This is where they got healing from in these actual certain pyramids and mounds and different things like that. Now, these pyramids, as y'all know in the inside of it, there's a light that shoots up. So when I said that they are perfectly aligned with the stars, that's where they were able to travel through that light. They didn't need no airplanes. They didn't need none of that stuff. They were traveling back and forth, and it's actually been well known if you actually look it up. A lot of the Mayans traveled from there too. There was a lot of Indians actually that were there in Cahokia, that did these different practices and traditions and different things like that. So everything didn't start in Egypt. It started where the truth was buried. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And St. Louis is more than just a gateway, it's a spiritual portal. And we ain't gonna even talk about Cahokia Mounds as much too. Well, we're gonna talk about that as well. But as much as me and Spirit Queen know, we've been there. There's even pyramids in downtown St. Louis that people don't even know about. There's really a bunch of pyramids in St. Louis that people haven't actually even traveled to. But Cahokia Mounds is actually one of the biggest ones. So actually St. Louis was once known, it was called the Mound City
Yeah.
due to the numerous earthquakes in the area and some of which were pyramid shapes. So if you ever go downtown, if you've ever been downtown by the courts building, there's an actual pyramid on top of the courts building.
Yes.
Nobody asks why it's there. Nobody ever asked why it's there, probably even searched it or even researched it. Because St. Louis is known to be for to be able to travel through these pyramids, and they know that it's actually pyramids in St. Louis. That's why that pyramid was actually created. All right. Um Also, I have a scripture that kind of pertains to this as well. It's Job chapter 12 verse 7 through 9, and it says, "But ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee that the hand of the Lord has wrought this." And this scripture reminds us that earth, nature, and sacred structures carry the voice of the Most High. So all of this that's connected with the pyramids and different things like that is coming from the Most High. That's how they were able to talk. That's how they were able to get into meditation position. That's how they were able to sit around in an actual circle of the pyramids to be able to connect. They used their hands. They used their power. They used the light from above, and they used the light from the pyramid to be able to connect. Everything was all aligned. Everything was divine flow. All right. And that's my take on it.
Okay, so Eternal Goddess, would you like to touch base on what she was just talking about?
I would like to ask, when she was, speaking about it, I thought about the organite, like what they use over the beds, like the copper,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
to like help with like the energy and to like wean out all of the, negative energies and balance it. That I thought about that. That was just a thought that came to me or whatever like that. But I could go ahead and get into, talking about the
Let's
math.
start there. Hold on. So
Okay.
I want to touch base on what you were talking about. So when she talked about Cahokia Mound, so as she stated, we all went there. We went there as a spiritual study group. So it was like 10, 15 of us, and we went there. So before this particular day that we went, I kept trying to go. So the first day I went, I didn't go to the Cahokia Mounds. I went to the actual museum. But the next time I tried to go, there's a bunch of steps. If you ever been to a pyramid or a mound, there's a bunch of steps. So the first bunch of steps, I made it up to those first bunch of steps. But I couldn't make it to the second set of steps. And I didn't understand why. So I'm going to go back to what she was saying when she said that it's medical. So it let me know that there was something wrong with my body. That's why I couldn't go up. So that day, the next day, I went to the hospital, and that's when I found out I needed a blood transfusion because I only had 6 ounces, pints, whatever it is, and you're supposed to have 12 to 14. I only had 6.
Mm-hmm.
So the doctor really was like, how are you even walking around? So that's one of the connections that I can relate to when she says something about medical. Okay. Then she also stated that St. Louis is a gateway, right? So the house that I lived in, that particular time that I got sick, I had keys in my hand. My house was actually in the Mound area. So if you ever looked at my house or ever been to my house, it actually sat on the bottom of the mound. So a lot of things will happen. I would lose things, things would disappear, I would travel, people would come into my house. So when you see things, a lot of these things are truly real. Okay, they're truly real. So don't be thinking people crazy, because that's what they want you to think, but we're not. We are truly connected with the universe. Truly.
Mhm.
The sky, the ground. That's why we tell you to ground. That's why we tell you to hug a tree. So we're gonna start sharing videos with you guys so that you can see exactly what we're talking about. We don't talk just to be talking, okay? So I just wanted to kind of relate to what she was talking about. All right. So, Eternal Goddess, you want to go ahead and get into your part of it?
Yes. Since I'm still learning about it, y'all,
It's okay. Go ahead.
yeah, learning like just the connection that we have with it. Okay, first I want to talk about what are mounds. Mounds are earthen hills built by indigenous American cultures, specifically in Hopewell, Mississippi, serving as burial sites, like Sun Goddess said, ceremonial platforms, and social political centers. They are used as sacred places for ceremonies, group birth work, and earth honoring rituals. And one way to honor and acknowledge ancestral memory is by naming the original builders and inviting in their wisdom. So, like Sun Goddess and Spirit Queen talk about, getting connected,
Peace,
getting grounded,
peace, peace.
tapping into that energy or whatever like that allows us to, connect with that, because we're already connected with that within in our, in our conscious, in our awareness of it and where we come from. Um, America has the most mounds than anywhere else on the face of the planet. And America has more pyramids than anywhere on the face of the planet. So, like Sun Goddess said, there's a lot more pyramids that we don't know about, or whatever, or like a lot of people don't know about. One of the most talked about mounds, which is Cahokia, because it holds ancient energy, which our ancestors made sure that it would. So, tapping into the energy of the elements, mainly the earth, the air, water, allows us to make that connection and tap into that. Um, It is located near the city of St. Louis. And like Sun Goddess said, this is the largest pre-Columbian settlement north of Mexico and the preeminent example of a cultural, religious, and economic center of the Mississippian culture. This is extended throughout the Mississippi Valley and the southeastern United States. Okay. Another example of mounds that is in St. Louis is the Sugarloaf Mound. It is one of the last remaining mounds in the city, believed to be ceremonial or burial related, recently reclaimed by the Osage Nation. Ownership of part of the historic Sugarloaf Mound, the last remaining indigenous American earthwork in the city of St. Louis. It was transferred to the Osage Nation, and this concerns the second of three tiers of the mound, which had previously been privately owned. In addition to the transfer, a first of its kind resolution made by the St. Louis Board of Aldermen and the Mayor's Office acknowledges the tribal sovereignty of the Osage Nation and their ancestral rights to this sacred site. This work is part of broader land back initiatives aimed at returning sacred lands to indigenous stewardships. So that's all I have on, just about the mounds. I don't really know too much about it. I'm gonna need y'all to
Yes.
like me
Uh,
because I'm here to learn tonight.
You're all right. You're perfectly
Uh,
fine.
that was
so
great.
yes, that's my part.
Okay. So our guest is here, but for some reason, I'm having an issue in bringing him in. He's froze, so I need him to go out and come back in. If,
Mhm.
can you hear me, Sham?
So while she's doing that, I'm gonna kind of alliterate on what Eternal Goddess said as well. Actually, I know when I went to Cahokia Mountains with Spirit Queen, you can actually feel the vibrational frequencies walking up those steps, even being there. So
Mhm.
even though that they got rid of the mounds, you can't get rid of the energy.
Right.
Energy never dies.
Mhm.
So it was so much energy and vibration going into Cahokia, even walking up the steps. And actually, when you go across the street, there's a line like when you go across the street and there's like a circle. That's a place at the Cahokia Mounds where you can actually travel it. I don't think people really knew that either, because even going into Cahokia Mound, you can go up them steps, but if you actually look across the street, there's a circle that's laid there to where you can actually go there and activate that and travel. And a lot of these, and they know that you can activate these certain portals, but they not gonna tell you that. They'll tell you it don't work, or they'll just tell you, oh, it's a ancient figure that we want everybody to just enjoy and look at. But no, they actually still work. They actually still work.
Oh yes, they definitely actually still work.
Hmm.
Uh, that's very interesting. Of course, I know a lot about the mounds and the pyramids and things like that. But we are having a problem getting our guest on. What can y'all see 4 people on here?
Yep.
Because
I
that
see B. I see B. B's
Hey,
on here.
y'all. What's going on? Can y'all
Hey.
hear me?
I don't.
Hey.
Uh-huh. I see him. He's on. He on
Uh,
her.
okay, what about Sham? What thing I see
I
is Sham.
I don't see Sham.
Hey, he might have to come back in.
Yeah, he'll have to get out and come back in.
I don't see B at all.
B came on. He just came out. He's
And now
off.
went off. He
Yeah. We was on. We synced him.
what in the world?
That's because it's gonna get deep. Okay.
So what you actually can do too is so what you actually can do is you can take either me or one of her off, and you can bring kind of like them on if they want to discuss, and then we can still come back in like that too. See if it'll work like that, if it actually gets to be too many people on. So I can go out and listen, and then you can always bring me back in, and then bring the two kings in too. So you can
Now
do that as well.
Um.
oh.
So this is what we're gonna do, everybody. Everybody's gonna go off because I'm not able. I only see Sham, and Sham is frozen.
And you keep freezing now, Spirit.
Right. We see you. Me and her, we see you,
Oh,
but
this is what we're gonna do. Part two.
see,
Okay.
they're gonna be right there.
Okay. Mine keep going in and out. I don't know what.
All right, so what we're gonna do is she said all of us are gonna go out, and then we're gonna go back in, come
Hold on.
back in.
Hold on.
Okay.
So this is Let's Talk Podcast. We are talking about St. Louis ancient gems, and we have covered pyramids and mounds. We're going to do a part two. When we do part two, we're going to bring our guest in and we're going to continue from where we left off. Okay. With that being said, we will see you in 2 and 2. Peace, love, and light. Make sure you sign back on because you don't want to miss this information. Peace.